This is obvious. Do things and things will happen. Do nothing and nothing will happen. Obvious, right? So if it's so obvious, why are we all so bad at getting going, at doing things, at actively going for it? I'm a creative type. By that, I mean that there's this urge in me to create. There's this voice in my head that when I'm seeing or I'm reading or I'm eating something brilliant, it says you can and you should do something like that. And then it shames me. Why are you just sitting there doom scrolling on social media when you could be doing something useful with your time? Oh. In a way, being a creative type is something of a curse. How simpler life would be if I could have other urges, like, say, the urge to exercise, like my cousin Susie. I'd certainly be healthier, but there's nothing to be done about it. That inner voice is only ever quiet when I'm actively doing something, when I'm neck deep in a creative project. These videos, this YouTube channel and everything, this is first and foremost a creative outlet. I enjoy making videos, I enjoy writing them, I enjoy filming them, I enjoy doing the editing process, I enjoy every part of it. And it is fulfilling for me. If people get something out of it, even better. But I will continue doing them because I need to create. It helps that I have a few years of experience under my belt, which helped to make my content, my videos, entertaining, decent, dynamic, somewhat inspirational, and sometimes cinematic. If you're still watching this, you're probably like, yeah, this guy's okay. I can watch another few minutes of him talking to me. I might even like the video, ring the bell, subscribe, and comment below. You might be saying that to yourself, and you'd be right. If you're lucky, you grew up in a house that encouraged creativity, that fostered creativity. Like maybe your grandfather was a photography nerd, or maybe your mom was like a really excellent chef and made these really nice presentation, or maybe had like a great aunt who was a famous painter. I don't know, but I did not grow up in such a household. Nobody looked at me in high school and was like, hey, you're doing theater and you're drawing and you're playing the guitar and you're kind of writing some amateur songs and all. Maybe you should continue in a creative field. Maybe that will make you happy. Nobody said that. I was 30 by the time it clicked that I would only ever be happy if I was doing some sort of creative work. 30, okay? Creatively speaking, my 20s were wasted. Now, the catalyst for this eureka moment wasn't an accident. I wasn't struck by some sort of lightning bolt of creativity. There's one thing I did which had a domino effect on the rest of my life, completely changing everything. I created something and I put it out into the world. So as a teacher, I get summers off. And instead of doing nothing for the summer, I had a friend who had a farm, Lewis Mountain Fresh Farm in New Brunswick in the Canadian Maritimes. And they make sauerkraut, but they also had gardens and they raised animals and everything. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna go like help them in the summer, plant a garden and all that. And so while I was in the garden, I thought, I have a camera, I'm gonna make videos. I'm gonna make cooking videos and I'm gonna cook and garden and do all of these things and I'm gonna film it, I'm gonna put it out on YouTube. And I was literally at the farmer's market selling vegetables to a woman I knew who was a producer. I didn't know what a television producer did back then, but I was selling her vegetables and I was like, hey, I'm making YouTube videos on YouTube and maybe we could do something together, like I can do cooking / gardening / self-sufficiency project of some sort. It could be interesting. One thing led to another, and because I did something and I put it out into the world, and I talked to the right person at the right time, I ended up on a new nationally broadcast television show with my first television show where I was living the dream of trying to be self-sufficient, food-wise. If I hadn't had the YouTube videos, I wouldn't have had anything to pitch with. So even if it wasn't a great pitch, the fact that I'd done something and put it out into the world would completely change my life. So if there's one thing I would urge all creative types to do is go for it. Make something. Put down your phone and go make something. If you love to make music, put it out into the world. If you love to write something, put it out into the world. If you like to make fancy braids in the hair of horses, get some ribbons and go. It won't be good in the beginning. It never is. And you might completely change your medium. That's fine. And okay, people might think you're weird. So what? What's so great about their life that they spend their energy judging you, right? So just you start. You do not need permission, and you do not need to be great off the get-go. You just need to go. You, or someone you know, has probably said this recently. I'd love to do that, but I don't have the time. That is not true. Have you really gone through your weekly schedule and see where all your time is going, what you're spending time on? How much time do you spend on social media? How much time do you spend commuting? How much time do you waste at doing things that are not adding to your quality of life? I know I have at least a dozen hours in my week that I could go recuperate. And I'm a 40-year-old father of two who spends 10 hours a week commuting to his full-time job and is in the process of moving to a foreign country, which, if you've ever done it, you know it's complicated. I'm busy, okay? But even I can find time to create because I make the time. You might think you don't have any good ideas. And I'm gonna stop you right there, because you do. You just might think they're not good enough. There's no such thing as a good idea. There's just ideas that you persist, you go for it, right? You don't have to overthink it. You don't have to hash it all out in your head before going for it. Stop overthinking it. Channel your inner 4-year-old. Find a crayon and start drawing. Ideas, good ideas, project ideas, those are just notes, okay? Execution is where creation happens. It's the only way you're gonna get good at anything. Doing things is when things happen. You can't write without writing. You can't make films without filming. You can't rap without rapping, and you can't paint without painting. Forget creativity, the noun. Focus on the verb create. Okay, sorry, got worked up there. And full disclosure, my default mode is to dive headfirst into things without overthinking it. It doesn't always go well, but I don't hesitate, and I know that that is not the norm. My problem is with persistence. I'm really good at starting a project, but I'm not so great at sticking to it and continuing with it over years. The drawback of that is that I have never stuck around long enough to build upon my wins. It's a problem. It's something that I recognize in myself and I'm trying to work on. There's a book I read recently, which I very, very much enjoyed. It's called The Geography of Bliss by Eric Viner. It's a television series now, but I read the book because I don't have Peacock. You know, I've put the link to the book down below, but let me just read you the synopsis. Are people in Switzerland happier because it is the most democratic country in the world? Do citizens of Qatar, awash in petrodollars, find joy in all that cash? Is the king of Bhutan a visionary for his initiative to calculate gross national happiness? Why is Asheville, North Carolina so damn happy? In a unique mix of travel, psychology, science, and humor, Eric Viner answers those questions and many others, offering travelers of all moods some interesting new ideas for sunnier destinations and dispositions. It's a treatise on happiness, but in this chapter of that book, Viner is talking directly to us creative types. In Iceland, it doesn't matter if you're good. quote unquote good at art. Everybody is a creative. We all are creative. We were all born as creatives. We just kind of let it go over the years. It doesn't matter if you're an amateur or you're somebody doing it for money. It doesn't matter about the quote unquote success of a creative person. What is important is the act of doing it. The act of creating is enough, and even better, it makes for a happy life. One thing I would add is that creating only becomes more fun once you have experience under your belt. It's when the vision that you have in your head starts to catch up with what you're putting out. I've been teaching filmmaking since 2017. When my students get to us in 9th grade, what they're producing is not great. But after 4 years and 440 plus hours of work of practicing every element of filmmaking, they get pretty good. And the films of our graduating class, I think, are something to behold. They're kind of impressive, but the only way they got to that point was by doing it, was by practicing, was by making stuff that wasn't great, working through that, persisting, and that's it. It's practice, practice, practice. It is the only way anyone gets good at anything, whether it's in the arts, whether it's in sports, whether it's in financial investing. You're not good when you start. That's just a fact. So if you're a creative and you're still watching this, I'll say one last time. Do things and things will happen. Like, subscribe, and comment, please.